Senator Warren, traffic congestion is one of the most stressful factors of daily life for most Massachusetts workers, and it's only getting worse. Despite the mess that was the big dig and the $14 billion that was spent, what are you prepared to do in Washington to help us with our traffic woes?
So this is the fundamental question about who government works for. The Republicans passed a giant tax giveaway, $1.5 trillion that went to billionaires and giant corporations. And what's happened to federal help for infrastructure? Where's all that new money that was promised for infrastructure that would help us in building more roads, that would help us in building more mass transit, that would help us in dealing with our traffic congestion? Where is it? It's all gone to the billionaires and the giant corporations. And that's what happens when you've got a Congress, when you've got a White House that want to just work for the billionaires and the giant corporations. So here's what I think. Right now, just take a look. The Trump administration said they would do $1 trillion in infrastructure. Only here's the trick. $4 out of $5 have to actually come from the locality. And then where's the fifth dollar going to come from in the federal government with debts rising? The answer from the Trump administration is, oh, we'll take it away from other money that we're already giving to the states and the cities. Look, I think the federal government doesn't have the answer to everything, not by a long shot. But they can be a good partner. They can be a good partner in investing in infrastructure to deal with traffic, to deal with sewers, to deal with water, to deal with communication in Western Mass. We just need to make government work for the people instead of for billionaires and giant corporations.
Senator, what would you do to help alleviate the problem?
Well, part of what I would do is say that we shouldn't be giving that money away to billionaires and giant corporations. We need to roll back some of that, and we need to put that money into investments for building a future. The federal government should be a good partner. It should be up to Massachusetts to make the decision. Here's where we want the roads. Here's where we want to invest in mass transit. But they need help. They need money from the federal government. And the only way that happens is if we actually have money at the federal government. The debt has gone up by 17% since this new tax bill has gone in, and it's going to go up by more. And the Republicans say they're going to pay for it by cutting Social Security. That's not government that's going to help us get better and build a future.
Representative Deal, what would you do to help to alleviate the traffic problem?
Well, I just want to talk about billionaires for a second, because my opponent wants you to believe, and she said this for a long time, that she's all for the little guy. But back in 2009, when the economy was down and Harvard wanted to cut costs by firing 275 low-level employees, they asked for high-paid professors like Elizabeth Warren to take a pay cut to save those jobs. She refused, and janitors and service workers ultimately were fired. So let's not talk about who's the champion for the little guy when the only millionaire in this room with a mansion is you, Senator Warren. When it comes to transportation, I certainly know that government needs to be a partner, but at the same time, government needs to be held accountable. When I led the repeal of the index gas tax in 2014, we saw that Massachusetts was spending 50% of the gas tax going to the MBTA, which had $6 billion of deferred maintenance, $6 billion in deferred maintenance, okay? So when the T shut down in February of 2015, it was no surprise with switchgear and tracks and equipment, cars that were as old as I am, I'm 50 now, really failing. There should have been an investment back in, but it wasn't happening. And the other 50% of the gas tax in Massachusetts was funding road construction at a cost of $675,000 per year per mile. Okay, that number's pretty big. The national average is $145,000 per year per mile. Massachusetts could have done better if government's more efficient. The revenue can be there to get the projects done.
Senator Warren, I want to give you, he mentioned you and your financial status. I want to give you a chance to answer that.
So look, I have no idea what he's talking about 2009, but I will tell you this. I put 10 years of my tax returns out online. Anybody can look through them. They can see exactly what I have and what I don't have. Mr. Deal has put exactly the same number of tax returns online as Donald Trump, 0. So you want to talk about people's financial dealings or financial status? You got to actually put it out there. You got to put your tax returns online so everybody can see it. I think that's what it means to be a public servant.
Mr. Deal, do you have a response to that?
Sure. For 8 years, I've filed what's required for the state as far as financial disclosures. And for the Senate run, I had to file Senate ethics disclosures that have pretty much showed everybody what I own. I probably owe more on my house, more on the business my wife and I own together than we have in equity. But my opponent, again, wants to talk about having her taxes out there. That's great. We actually have seen that she pretty much takes advantage of every loophole so she can pay less. For the last 10 years, she's exploited a $340,000 loophole to lower her property taxes. So to be clear, she wants you to pay more for your taxes than she pays less.
You know,
I want to move on,
but come on, I take a property tax deduction and I take charitable deductions pretty much like everybody else does. And if Mr. Deal says he's already disclosed everything, then why not put your taxes out there? I don't understand what he's hiding.
You're not going to find $50,000 in clothing deductions.
Well, we don't know that if you don't put it out there. We don't know what we'll find if you don't put it out there for everybody to see, because that's really the point.